Hello there, my name is Mooseman, and today I will be informing you of whether you should play, wait, or avoid the rhythm adventure game Tadpole Treble. As always, we will be looking at gameplay, aesthetics, future potential, and value before making our final verdict on the early access version of Tadpole Treble. Tadpole Treble is a game in which you experience the adventure of the Tadpole Baton, a tadpole taken away from her home shortly after hatching. It is your mission to get back home through a variety of treacherous rivers, bayous, creeks, and oceans. You control Baton by moving up and down the musical scale, dodging bombs, and collecting bubbles that correspond with the actual notes in the songs. Tadpole Treble isn't a rhythm game in the usual sense of the word, in that to complete levels you actually don't need to have any rhythm whatsoever. This is due to the fact that instead of being required to hit notes, you are required to dodge them. This means that you can easily dodge obstacles because you have a ton more space to work with. Your movement isn't restricted just by the beat of the song. That's not to say that rhythm isn't important. Where the rhythm comes into the game is in the flow of the levels. The game does a great job of naturally steering you towards the best path that allows you to travel safely by following bubbles and hitting interactable objects. As I mentioned earlier, you could potentially take a huge number of alternative paths, but only the main path ends up guaranteeing your safety, and you will need to have good rhythm to successfully navigate this main route. Trying to navigate the other routes can be tricky, and there are actually a variety of achievements and unlocks that require you to do so. The way that rhythm is implemented as a strategy and not a requirement shows off the brilliant game design in Tadpole Treble. While you are actively dodging notes, the game still feels similar to playing a musical instrument in that it requires precision and timing to get exactly right. The lack of restriction gives you room for improvisation, allowing the game to get some extra replayability through the medal system. In addition to the primary objective of completing the levels, there are also 4 secondary medal objectives. The first 2 medals are based on your performance, mainly dodging as many obstacles as possible to get your score to an S rank and collecting all 100 bubbles per level. The other 2 medals are more interesting, however. Each stage has a hidden objective called the Fly medal. This objective can range from killing all the flies in a level to avoiding all damage or simply just being a boss at a certain speed. The final medal is the F rating medal, which is interesting in that instead of trying to collect all the bubbles in a level, you are actively trying to avoid them all. Completing this medal unlocks the developer commentary for the level, in which the developers talk about some of the mechanics in the level, the artwork, etc. These medals end up giving the game quite a bit of replayability, which was one of the things that a lot of indie games in this price range tend to have problems with. Even though the game only has around a dozen levels, the developers successfully made the secondary objectives meaningful enough to have me want to go back and do them to unlock all the secret game modes and additional content. Just because the game has extra achievements doesn't mean they're worth spending time unlocking, but in the case of Tadpole Treble, they feel more like an extension of the main game rather than just filler content. In talking about replayability, the game also has a composition mode that allows you to make and share your own songs with other players. Unfortunately, I found this to be the weakest part of the game due to how difficult it is to use and share songs. The problem is that there are no layers when it comes to using multiple instruments at one time, and while you can place multiple instruments on the same note, you can only see the last instrument you placed, which can make things extremely cluttered and difficult to change if you decide to do anything complex. There is also currently no way to hold notes for more than the default beat or add any kind of rests, which makes even the best compositions sound choppy, as each note either ends up being too short or gets cut off by the next note too quickly. The other problem with composition mode is sharing the songs you create. Sharing songs is done through QR codes, which does allow for sharing between the Wii U and Steam versions of the game, but it is a general pain to do, especially with longer songs that can have up to 7 QR codes to scan in per individual song. You are also limited to saving only 12 songs, so building a local song library is pretty much impossible. The main positive factor about composition mode is that it's actually free to play. There is a demo available that gives you access to the entire composition mode, even if you don't have the base game. While the gameplay of Tadpole Treble is generally a great experience, the aesthetic and music in Tadpole Treble are really the defining factors to why the game is so much fun to play. Each world encompasses an entirely different genre and theme, and throws a new challenge at you, keeping each level fresh even though the gameplay is rather simplistic. Backwards levels, giant turtles trying to eat you, angry piranhas. I'm hard pressed to find a level that doesn't introduce a single new mechanic. What really separates the levels thematically is the music. The soundtrack of the game is some of the best written music I have heard in an indie game. Most of the songs are extremely memorable, so much so that I've actually downloaded a few of my favorites for personal listening. Future potential wise, I would like to see the Steam Workshop replace the current QR code system of sharing songs. While I think the QR code system should still be an option for those who want to play songs on the Wii U version, it should only be an option, not the main method of sharing. Bringing the songs to Steam Workshop would also create an easily accessible centralized location for the songs, As of now, the game forums are being used for that purpose, but having them all on Steam and easily addable to your game would provide a much better way of sharing and storing songs. Tadpole Treble is priced at $10, and that price is the appropriate price for what you're getting. The game has a surprising amount of replayability that kept me interested in playing through the songs several times each in an attempt to unlock everything the game has to offer. There are additional game modes including Concerto mode, which is a single continuous life attempt at all the songs in the game sequentially, and if you do happen to finish all the content the game has to offer, you can keep playing the game indefinitely by playing users' songs or make your own songs if you're up to the task. Tadpole Treble is a unique rhythm game with a great song list that shows off something new in the music game genre. Nowadays, there really aren't a huge number of music games that are truly innovative, which is a shame because Tadpole Treble shows off how much innovation is still possible. Not only do I recommend this game as a play for music game fans, I also just recommend it in general for everyone. In the end, it's the epitome of what an aesthetic and music-focused game should be. Simple gameplay made fun by good game design and an outstanding soundtrack. Thank you for watching this episode of Play, Wait, or Avoid. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel for more news, reviews, and other gaming commentary. If you're looking for another review, you could check out my last video, which I reviewed the game Nero, a visual novel combined with a puzzle game, or my review of Man o' War Corsair, a naval combat game set in the Warhammer universe.
Still hanging around? Well, don't say I didn't warn you. At least you'll be able to enjoy one last song courtesy of my snail amigo. Adios, muchacho.
Let me tell you about a little place called Thunder Creek. It's a rather shocking channel, so to speak. From the moment when you first arrive, you'll be fighting to get out alive. Or fairly few folks survive Thunder Creek. So you're asking how to make it to Thunder Creek. Well, you may just stand a chance with this technique. When you see this symbol, give it away, when you gotta be nimble, bold, and brave, or else this will be your grave, Thunder Creek. Thunder Creek. So go, little tadpole, turn around, head back, and don't give it a second glance. No, little tadpole, you'll be someone's snack. Frankly, you don't stand a chance. Thunder Creek. And this extra frame is almost reached its peak. For a brief moment, kiddo, you've matured. No matter what happens, you can rest assured that the child man endured Thunder Creek. So go, little tadpole, on your way back home. Swim for that sanctum you seek. Go, little tadpole, you are almost done. And when you get back, you can say that you took it inside Thunder Creek. Thunder Creek.